Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy by taking advantage of rebates from Avista. Like 15 cents a square foot for new attic insulation, $35 for installing a smart thermostat, or $2,300 for switching from electric to natural gas heat. And all that savings reduced carbon emissions by more than 18,000 tons. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
Welcome to Startup Spokane, where hosts Steve Traben and Megan Halsey explore the excitement and momentum growing throughout Spokane's expanding startup community. Startup Spokane is a joint effort between Greater Spokane Incorporated's Startup Spokane, our friends at Well Dressed Walrus, and Spokane Talks Online. Now, here are your hosts, Steve and Megan.
Welcome to Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Online, your podcast home for everything startup and entrepreneurial in the Spokane region. I'm your host, Megan Halsey. As you know, we are Startup Spokane, a program of Greater Spokane Incorporated. We want to provide you with our region's story of entrepreneurship and educate you about the resources that exist in our region's ecosystem. We want to share ways for you to plug in and connect to those resources so that if you're launching or growing a business, you have what you need to be successful. At Startup Spokane, we're building an ecosystem that's attractive not only to our native entrepreneurs, but also to people who are looking for a place to launch their next business. Today, we're going to spend some time talking to Safeguard Equipment. I'm pleased to be joined by Tim Ledford, CEO, Brandon Bledsoe, CFO, and John Thompson, the lead research engineer. Welcome to our program, gentlemen. Please take a moment to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about Safeguard Equipment.
Thanks for having us, Megan. So, like I said, or like you said, my name is Tim Ledford. I'm the CEO of Safeguard. Really what I do is I cast the vision for the company and make sure we're progressing forward.
And then I'm Brandon Bledsoe. I'm the CFO of Safeguard Equipment. And I kind of manage the budget. I try to make sure that we're financially responsible, especially when we don't currently have sales, so it's pretty exciting. And then we all kind of wear a bunch of different hats, so we also focus on marketing on my side too.
Thanks for that introduction. I'm John Thompson, the lead research engineer, and I'm responsible for moving the product forward, getting it ready for release. So I work on the printed circuit board and the case design. So like Brandon said, we do wear a lot of hats.
Fantastic, guys. So just a year ago, you guys had won the Northwest Entrepreneur Competition, and you were finishing up as seniors at University of Idaho. What a difference a year makes. Now, your path really began with the Northwest Entrepreneur Competition. So how much did you win, and what did you do with that award?
So, yeah, we won actually exactly about a year from this last Thursday, and we'd won $7,500 for winning the Innovative Technology category. And we had also won a $3,000 grant from Leon Hayes for any legal support. So when we first started this company, we really just wanted to bootstrap it as much as we could. So we applied as much of that money as we could into R&D until eventually we had to take an investment.
Okay, great. So what's been happening with you in terms of your investment and getting your company out and finding the support that you've had here in the Spokane region?
Honestly, we've been getting a lot of everyone's been trying to help us out when it comes to exposure. Also, just like financial help as well. They're all willing to assist us when it comes to the prototyping. Mm-hmm. He's had a lot of luck when it comes to. You can speak on it too. If you want.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we definitely wanted to use the local community in terms of making our case and our printed circuit board, and luckily being at the toolbox, we've had connections with a lot of people that know people, right? So we've actually been working really closely with like Tate Tech and Prototech. Tate Tech puts together our printed circuit boards. Prototech makes our cases, and they also refer us to CAD engineers, and so it's a really great. It's really great keeping the business here locally because everyone we go to recommends, someone else that can help us with a problem, that we're having.
That's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about who you've been working with. You had mentioned the toolbox. Mm-hmm. So what was your first interaction here in Spokane when you guys first arrived? Who did you first start working with?
That'd be Tom Simpson, actually. He saw pretty much the money that we were investing back into the product. When we released our first website, he shot us a message over Facebook and invited us up to kind of do another presentation in front of the Spokane Angel Alliance. And he's been probably the best when it comes to, he has been the best when it comes to networking in this area. So he helped us meet a lot of new investors, and Tim deals with the investors side. So,
So tell me a little bit about your first capital raise. You guys have raised how much money?
So through the Spokane Angel Alliance, we've raised $300,000, and through our various competitions, we had over $30,000.
Okay, great. And how have you used that? What's your goal with that money, and how long is that going to sustain you?
Yeah, so our projections show that we're going to last 14 months on those funds without sales, but we hope to have sales by this August, so we have about a year buffer in there in case anything really happens.
Fantastic. What connections have been most beneficial for you here in the Spokane ecosystem?
Oh man, there's so many. You for one. Just through Greater Spokane and through Startup Spokane, there's been a lot of connections with manufacturing reps, through marketing experts, through counselors and mentors. It goes on and on.
I would say the best connection is just being at the Toolbox. It offers a really nice environment where people are always coming in and going out. We're always sharing our ideas with the people that are meeting with other businesses at Toolbox, and then they're recommending others that we can seek out for help. So being at the Toolbox has probably been the best connection.
Wow. That sounds great.
Yeah.
We're going to have to take a short break, and we will continue our conversation with Tim, Brandon, and John with Safeguard Equipment when we come back.
Congratulations! You found where Spokane Talks online. Tell your friends.
If you need a sign, banner, or business cards for your business, who do you call? Hi, this is Kent Adams.
And Tom MacArthur from Business Talks. Kent and I call Instant Sign Factory for our signs, banners, business cards, and more.
Dave at Instant Sign Factory is our go-to guy for printing, and he always does excellent work for us.
Check them out online. They've got an all-new website, InstantSignFactory.com.
Tell them Kent and Tom from Business Talks sent you. Instant Sign Factory.
A special thank you to our friends at Tom Sawyer Country Coffee, the official coffee supplier here at Spokane Talks Online.
Ever paid a bill late because you misplaced it? We'll spend all day organizing our closets, but when it comes to money, forget it. Stop the madness. Let's get it together financially. Organizing your money is easy when you have the tools to do it. Plus, you'll reduce frustration and give yourself the assurance that you're prepared for whatever life throws your way. Visit stcumoney.org to get 8 free tips on how to organize your money. Before you think
Welcome back to Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Online, where we're talking with the founders of Safeguard Equipment. I want to start with John Thompson. He's the lead product engineer, and I want him to tell us a little bit about what it is that you guys are devising at Safeguard and what your timeline is for production.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So we're making a device that we're calling Beacon, and the main motivation is to detect energized services that could potentially cause an electrocution. So this is targeted towards utility linemen, electricians, anyone that's working around potentially harmful energized sources. So right now we're still in the R&D phase, and once we get through R&D, the point of R&D is getting our technology sensitive enough to where it's useful. And our goal is to detect these energized surfaces within 3 times the minimum approach distance, or 10 feet for people that aren't certified to work around high voltage equipment. And so the R&D phase is just getting the sensors to the correct sensitivity to achieve these detection ranges. And then next is verification and testing, refining the software so it's reliable. And then kind of once we have a production-ready prototype, then we go into getting certifications for our technology, the FCC, UL, CE certifications, and then lastly, once we're happy with, let me back up a little bit. We'll be doing a usability test with a couple of different utilities to make sure that this is the product that they want and it has all the features that they are requiring. And once we pass through that stage, then we'll go on to manufacturing, which is getting mold for plastic mold injection.
Great. So how long do you think how far out are you from manufacture?
Tim can talk more about that.
Okay.
Sure, yeah. We should be manufacturing in July of this summer. Hopefully we'll have our entire supply chain set up by then. So I think you already mentioned it, but we can hit market in August.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I'm going to have Brandon tell us a little bit about what your marketing and your sales plan is. Have you identified your customers? What's your market base?
So the primary user is the utility linemen, the electricians, but the people, they're not going to be the ones that we want buying this. We actually want the employers to do this since it is safety equipment. You don't see construction workers buying their hard helmets. That's usually their bosses. So we're getting a lot of help from Avista. As John mentioned, we're going to be doing a lot of field testing, but we are hoping to directly test this and hopefully have our first purchase going through them as well. And then after that, we want to sell directly to utility companies, and then once we kind of saturate our market in the area, we want to start developing products or actually just expanding the market to electricians and construction as well. But yeah, we really want to get the utility linemen, the union, to back us up as well, because they are the ones directly using this, and they have a lot of networking just throughout their own organization. So we really kind of look to connect with them as well.
Fantastic.
And can I add a little bit to that, Brandon?
Yeah.
So it's not just for utility linemen. This product is also aimed for people who are spending time in the field that don't technically have experience around high voltage electricity. So if a big storm comes and a lot of non-linemen people are going and inspecting lines, this product is also aimed to assisting them and telling them if those lines are energized.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what are your growth plans for the year? Do you have any plans for growing it to beyond the three of you as staff, or?
Yeah, so we have a 2-year plan. We'd like to have 5 more employees by the end of 2019. We'd like to have 3 more salesmen, another engineer, because as we progress, we'd like to build our brand as well as building our product line. And then we'd also like to have someone in accounting eventually as well. But as for this year, we see ourselves partnering with at least 3 major utility companies. We'd like to start with Avista and work our way out within a 500-mile radius. My projection is that we'll be able to reach Puget Sound Energy as well as Idaho Power, and from there we'll expand throughout the region.
Fantastic. So as a new company, you probably have started to figure out how important mentors are to helping you figure out where to go next and how to grow. Tell me who your mentors are, each of you, and how they've helped you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still really in the search for mentors, but I would say one of the people I really look up to and gives me a lot of advice is Nick Smoot of the Mountain Man Ventures. And then we all seek advice from Tom Simpson on a probably weekly basis, as well as just the community around us.
Great.
I'm still searching for a CFO mentor, so especially for a startup when it comes to the tech industry. So
fantastic.
Yeah,
how about you, Brand?
And I don't have any official mentor, but I reach out to my university professors that have
Great.
Experience in this area.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what other elements of the startup ecosystem have you tapped into?
I mean, to start, it would just be with Startup Spokane, really, and just all the connections we've gotten through that.
And Toolbox and the
Yeah.
Angel
Toolbox
Alliance,
is the biggest.
and you guys have actually tapped into a number of those. So, what is your biggest challenge as a new company?
I think there's a lot of hurdles as far as technology goes. Mm-hmm. You think you know everything until you come to that point where there's theoretical, really, technology that you're getting into. And John can talk on this more. But I would say that's our biggest hurdle at the time.
Yeah, so it's it's easy to say like, oh, this phenomena, let's say finding a magnetic field is easy to do. I mean, it's out there. There's magnetic fields around all these conductors, but then making a device that reliably can see that magnetic field and then, translating it into a signal that is going to tell you that there's a source there. So Tim's definitely right. Working with the technology to get it to a manufacturable state and to get a reliable product that works, honestly, is really difficult, but really rewarding as well. And also creating a product that is patentable and unique is a big challenge too, because there's a lot of very similar ideas out there.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
And then just wanted to add, when it comes to the financing, since we only do have $300,000, it's kind of hard to determine which expenses are necessary to get us out into the market and which ones we can hold off on, because we want to kind of spread it as long as we can, and so that comes down to legal support, employees, just kind of expanding kind of our resources and our connections.
So how was it for you guys coming from Moscow here to Spokane? How was that transition for you guys?
It was great. Yeah, it's this job is super rewarding because we're actively building, on the value of. We're actively building on our own value. So it's a really great opportunity to start your own business. Yeah.
Excellent. So now, on that note, did any of you know that you would be entrepreneurs, or was this kind of a surprise to each of you?
We've always had entrepreneurial spirits. In college, we lived together, and we knew we wanted to start a company eventually together. Mm-hmm. We didn't think it'd be this company, but it kind of fell into our arms, and we've built on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's exciting. So all three of you knew that you would be entrepreneurs at some point?
Well, I've always wanted to be an inventor, but I never knew it was possible to own your own business. When we first started being successful, it really took a period of time before I realized oh wow, this thing's taken off. So my belief was you go to school, you get a degree, and you join some business and work at a business. I didn't know it was so attainable to start your own business. So it's really
great.
Cool.
We were all kind of looking for jobs outside of this until we actually knew it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So Tim had a job at Boeing. Mm-hmm. John was working for Schweitzer at one point, and then I was looking for other places too. But I think when we got contacted by Tom, I realized it's probably best to just stick with the company.
Oh, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So do you see this as just the first of many entrepreneurial ventures for you guys, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So what is your next big goal?
To make a sale, to finish our product and make our first sale. That's our big goal. That's directly in front of us.
Yeah,
that seems like a good goal, doesn't it?
Yeah, make it so people are safer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's our primary goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We want to get this product released to the market as soon as possible to save lives.
Yeah. And how did you happen onto this idea, this particular product? What happened to bring that?
Yeah, I can. You want to speak?
Yeah, it started as a passion project. So like I mentioned earlier, how we all knew we wanted to start a company. Well, one night we were all brainstorming, and we were trying to figure out commonalities we had. And one of them is we all had siblings that were in the power industry. And after doing some research, we found out really how dangerous it is. In fact, after doing some research, we found out a utility lineman has a 1 in 50 chance of death due to electrocution in their career.
1 in 50?
1 in 50, yeah.
Is that worldwide, or is that
That's
just
in the United
US?
States. It's higher worldwide. Yeah, so all of us having family members in the power industry, we're like, let's create something to fix this problem. So we didn't start this with the intentions of making money. It was just to save lives and save our loved ones.
Wow.
Actually, when we won our first competition, we just had a concept. It was a little 3D printed block that John just threw some circuits in. It didn't actually work at the time.
Yeah, we just wanted to have something to show instead of just a concept.
Now, tell me what your backgrounds were that prepared you for this role. Who's the technician? Obviously, it must be you, John. So, are you an engineer by training?
Yeah. So I have an electrical engineering bachelor's degree from University of Idaho.
That was lucky.
Yeah. So I actually studied power engineering, but I have a huge passion for electronics. So I'm really happy to be, developing that skill now.
Great.
So that's why I originally started electrical engineering, was to build circuits. So
Very cool. So it's a good use of those skills. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, so I had a background, well, for one, starting a company. Just in high school, I had a landscaping company, so that really sparked my interest to be my own boss. But then throughout college, I had an internship working for the largest supply chain in the world at Walmart. And then I had an industrial engineering job at Boeing where I learned how to improve the process and just see the bigger picture in things.
Okay, great.
And then I was actually, I majored in HR management and then operations management. I had a lot of classes with Tim, so we worked on projects together. And then actually the year before we hit all these competitions, I was in another startup. It was called TriBiz at the time. We wanted to put ads on restaurant to-go boxes for like local businesses. Did pretty good, but it kind of ended up dispersing. So that's when these guys confronted me to get started on this company.
Great. So how did you find out about the entrepreneur competitions that you did enter and eventually won?
Yeah. So I was confronted the year before. I had no idea it was happening. One of my friends, his name was, well, actually two. One was George Simon, and then the other one was Malik Nabi. But they wanted me to be part of their team, and so we competed. It went well. But yeah, we dispersed. And then Tim actually confronted me, and he's like, he asked me if I was interested in starting a business with him. And I said, absolutely, I'll do it again, because it was fun. It was fun going to all the competitions. More people should, especially if you have a great idea. And George Tanner, the professor down at the U of I, he does such a great job with helping all the new wannabe entrepreneurs at the U of I I don't think they have a major. It's not a major right now. It's just a minor.
It's a certification right
now.
Mm-hmm.
Certification, and I think they're trying to improve that. So
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, and U of I historically does very well in those competitions, so he's doing something right. You guys are all showing up and performing really well. Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to give a huge thank you to Tim, Brandon, and John, the co-founders of Safeguard Equipment, for joining us today and talking about their entrepreneurial journey. Join us for future broad and podcasts where we'll continue our series and we'll bring you profiles of successful entrepreneurs as well as provide information on helpful resources and much more. Talk to you next time on Startup Spokane Radio on Spokane Talks Online.
Startup Spokane is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is a joint effort between GSI's Startup Spokane, Well Dressed Walrus, and Spokane Talks Online. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. We wish you a great and profitable day.
Here's Rob Curley, editor of the Spokesman Review.
Living life is complicated. They should give you an instruction manual, but they don't. So every day I feel like I have to try to put together an instruction manual for how you would live in Eastern Washington. Sometimes that's big national news, sometimes it's local news, but sometimes it's just telling you where to get a good hamburger and why the Zag Zone really works this year.
Online, in print, the Spokesman Review. Subscribe to The Experience.